Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our BKB National Wool Market Report with myself and with Jacques Taljaard. We were fortunate enough to had a pre-recorded interview with Javier and with Jean Venter from the NWGA, and they had a few questions, especially from the farmer side, regarding sustainability and what happened in the market. So we caught up with them, and myself and Jacques were able to answer a few of those questions. So tonight we won't have a market report because there were not any auctions this week, but we will have market report ready again next week. So yeah, without further ado, let's have a look at the pre-recorded chat we had with Jean and Javier. Then, as mentioned earlier, we were fortunate enough to have the NWGA team with us here in Port Elizabeth, and we did a recording with them, and it's going to be a little bit different this time. It's not going to be me, Jacques and Lindsay asking the questions. We have Javier van der Walt and Jean Venter with us, and they're going to be asking the questions. So it's me, Jacques and Lindsay in the hot seat tonight. Javier, Jean, welcome, and thanks that you guys have joined us here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for letting us be here.
Okay, you're not supposed to get any questions too strict, but fire off, let's see.
Joan, I think you can take the first one.
Okay, let's talk about sustainable wool, all the programs in the field running. What is the sustainable program for me as a farmer? Why must I comply to all the nitty-gritties of the sustainable wool programs?
What's the benefits for us?
So I think I'll kick that off.
Okay.
I think that a sustainable wool product would be number one on a sourcing list. So whilst there will always be market for all wool, sustainable wool will always be what a brand would be looking for first. And I think access to market in the future is that sustainability is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And best get on board nice and early and have a good, comfortable intro into sustainability on your wool farm, which would secure your future market.
Market, there's a lot of markets out there, but I think we're talking about a niche market here, and that is the buzzword that we need to understand. It's everybody is willing to buy wool from South Africa, from it's 15 micron down to a 30 micron. But it's getting the niche price to get into that niche market. That's what this is all about, I would say.
I think so. It's important that it's not about the premium at all. It's about the market for your product.
Precisely, yes.
And I think we've touched on that in last week's interview with Lindsay. The European Union is thinking about putting out legislation and forcing the brands to have more sustainable products on their shelves. So it absolutely, it's part of our lives and the way we are going to do business in the future. So sustainability is here to stay, and I think Lindsay have put it quite nice that we should go in with an open mind into it and stay open-minded and embrace the opportunity, because I think there is an opportunity for us in the sustainable market.
Lindsay, if I can add on or just ask another question about that, do we work with a different kind of consumer at the moment than the one we worked previously with?
Absolutely. Our consumer at the moment is informed, they're educated, especially when buying niche products. They want to know the provenance of that product, where it came from. They want to know that it came from a farm that was responsibly managed, and they want to support that. So once they know that farmers are on board with sustainability, they actually want to give back and walk a journey with you as a farmer.
Is it actually a more educated consumer than it's been?
Absolutely, yes. I think with technology, and our kids are starting at 12 and answering questions that us as parents used to answer for them, absolutely a way more educated market right now.
Provenance, that's a big word for a Free State farmer boy here. What's provenance?
The heritage of the product, so where it came from, basically the story. And I think that the wool industry have a beautiful story to tell, and that's the story that the world wants to buy into.
Especially down here, southern point of Africa.
Exactly, and also I think that South Africa is just traveling globally, wherever I travel, on behalf of a natural fiber industry, we're considered very progressive. And, you can't deny that we've done a fantastic job. I know that I checked last night, South Africa has the most production of RWS wool in the world, which makes us industry leaders worldwide. And if you look at sustainability reports and sourcing requirements, RWS is featuring in majority of those. So that would put South Africa on the list of a great place to source.
Yeah. And I think we've done it in a very short period, and it's a program that we've done from our grandfather's time on the farms. It's just putting it down on paper. And I think that's what the farmers is like on the back foot. There's admin involved. It's always going to be there. That's the only way to prove them that you're running a sustainable program on the farm.
Just adding the certification part to the sustainability.
Correct.
That's where the challenge lies.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest questions that bothers farmers at the moment is where it's going to stop. Is it something that's going to progress in such a way that the end we don't comply to it anymore? That we have to make such big changes? So I think that's quite a big worry for farmers at the moment. Where's it headed? What's the future of the certification going to look like?
For sure. I think the way to look at that is, like any industry, it is never going to stop. But that sounds terrible and probably alerts a lot of farmers, but just understand that we're walking a journey together with our global market. We're not supplying only to South Africa, we're actually supplying into a global market. And as we mentioned, the EU want to set standards that a product can only enter that market if it is sustainable. Also, the record keeping, there's really a great way to explain why that is so necessary. And I recently spoke to a brand and they said we're not trying to make life difficult. That's not our intention. But when we sell a product and we say that it's sustainably sourced from South Africa in this instance, we need an insurance on that claim. It's a marketing claim that we can be held against. So if it's proven that we in fact are sourcing something that is not sustainably sourced, that brand is putting a target on their back. And they potentially could get a big attack from the world. And in this cancel culture that we live in, where one day you're here, tomorrow you're gone because you said something that wasn't in fact factual or true, that is the reason that data keeping is so important for them. They don't know the farmer on the ground in every instance. So they need something to say, well, we sourced and it did come from a farm that had all of its records in place.
I think that's so important, and that's where the third-party audits come in at RWS. It's not from a broker side or from RWS. It's a third party that actually gives the credibility of it.
Jacques, Leon, I just want to ask you from BKB side, is there something in the pipeline that might be at the end make it more easy for the farmers to be able to comply to all the admin that has been done, something like an app or something that's going to happen in the future?
Yeah, I think Jaco is every week he actually updates his system, his box with goodies that he would hand out as a starter pack. And yeah, if you compare that starter pack, that was paperwork. It was like 2 files of paperwork that it is, and it's down to one file at the moment. Going electronically with it, I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
I think what happened in the past 3 years when we first started with the RWS program, the first thing that was slapped on the table were a file about this thick, full of, and we fine-tuned that whole file. So it were Australian-based files. So we fine-tuned it a little bit to our South African standards, and so it's much more user-friendly at this stage. And we've learned a lot in the past 3 years. So we've added a few things and took away a few things. So yeah, I actually think the packet that Jaco is presenting at this stage is much more user friendly than it were 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago when we started with the RWS program.
And they were willing to listen to us. And we've got unique farming situations, practices that is unique to South Africa. And they adopted it in the program.
I think to ask something about that basically is, I think another question that farmers have about the whole sustainability and all the accreditation is, how much do the people that set the standards know what's going on the farms? Because I think we've got some kind of idea that they sit there in the office and they set up a standard that's a paper standard, and they don't really know what's going on the farms. I don't think it touches on what you just said now.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So look, they've got an idea, and the feedback that they get from the audits and setting up and to get together and get one system, one set of rules. And this is it. And this is what's nice about RWS. It's not a set of rules that's set around in South Africa. It's what the end producer like. And Lindsay, that's important.
I think the process in setting up, I wasn't part of the setup of the RWS, but I certainly was of the RMS. And that process, I think having come through it, there's a complete misconception that the brand has no idea what's happening in South Africa. The process was, and I'm sure the wool one was exactly the same, it took 18 months, bi-weekly webinar calls with our end markets, as well as producers, industry veterinarians, animal welfare experts, basically anyone in the industry that is willing to be part of it. And those conversations were very interesting and informative, where a brand would say, they would have a requirement, and they would put the requirement on the table and say, well, we're going to source as long as this requirement is met. And then in that conversation, the requirement is actually completely not practical and impossible. And a conversation starts much like we're having here, and a medium, a happy ground is met. And I think that's important for a farmer to understand, is that this is an engaged process. And it's a living document. So what doesn't work today, if it really doesn't work, raise it. It can come up in the review of a set of standards. They really do want the standards to be successful. They do not want to make it so difficult for you that it can't be successful. So it is an engage, you're walking a journey along with them. It's not them versus you. And I think that's the perception that may be out there.
I think when we started with the whole program, I was fortunate enough to be in the veld with New Zealand Merino Wool Company, and they flew down from New Zealand, and they did the first 5 or 6 audits that we did. They were physically there, and they were on the farm and chatting with the farmers and getting the know-how, what's happening, what would they like to change, what can we do. So I think they're actually quite clued up on what's going on. They did their homework, but the challenging part is going to be to create that perfect link between the producer and the consumer. So that's always going to be a challenging part.
I think you're saying they're willing to listen to any concerns that we have on the farm.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, it's going to be a learning curve for them as well. And then that's what's nice about this engagement. Both parties is going to learn a lot about it. The farmer is producing the product, and he's putting it on the table here. So
I think it's important to know that this program won't be the same over 5 years' time from now. So it's an ongoing program. It's going to change.
Yes.
Almost every year.
I can see that there's going to be more demands from any producer that he's going to demand this. Like Lindsay said, it's like sitting around the table and see, but this is not viable.
I think that's very, very good to hear that. I mean, it's not going to become an impossible standard. I think it's probably more stuff that's going to change, and we have to step our game. But at the end, it won't be impossible to be able to conform to the standard.
Absolutely.
So getting back, you got to grow with it. That'll be my advice to the producer. Grow with it. The later you wait to get into the program, the more difficult it's going to be.
Yes.
I can say it from my experience. I mean, the first audit that I did was a much more broader audit, and then it actually said that things got more important later and stuff. So I can
more in detail.
More in detail. So I think if you grow with the program, it's much easier.
Much easier.
I think the other main thing is that the whole sustainable program help you as a farmer to be more profitable and to be better on your farm with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
I think actually the admin. I think most farmers kind of lacks in the admin department, and I think because you are forced to do better records, it also helps you on the farm.
Yeah.
So it does have real on-farm benefits for the farmer as well.
Thank you, Hobie and John, for a wonderful chat we were able to have with you guys. Then, as always, we'll have a market report ready next week. We will have quite a big auction, a 2-day auction.
Yeah,
and
it's 10,000 bales.
10,000 bales, and as you've just marked with 5 of the 6 brokers participating in the auction. So yeah, I think it promised to be a nice auction.
Yeah, unfortunately, currency would count against us.
Yeah,
I see Aussie is up 1 to 2%, but with the currency in South Africa, we might cancel it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see.
I think we were trading this morning, as we speak, we're at around about at 13 Rand 85. So and we were close to the 14 Rand markers with the previous auction.
14, I think we worked on 14.05.
Yeah, so yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, the Rand strengthened a bit, and we're probably going to feel that, as you've said.
Yeah, that's the market.
Okay. So our pre-sale valuations will go out on Friday. Our pre-sale evaluations
Friday
will go
afternoon, yeah.
And let's see what the Rand will do with us up until Friday. We still have a day or two to decide what will happen or what we think will happen.
Yeah, well, we're working from a good base. The base we determined last week, and that was a good base to work from. Yeah,
I think so. Jock, thanks a lot.
that's all. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone listening. Have a good evening.